Conservation and Strategy, Lagos State, Honorable Benga Omotosho. We're right here in his office. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
It's good to be with you.
Nice seeing you.
And it's also a good time to say congratulations on Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's second term winning at the just concluded election.
Thank you so much.
Sir.
Thank you.
We had a lot of discussions before the election, and it's so good to see that we won it.
Thank God.
All right, sir. All right, so with just a few days to the end of his first tenure, talking about Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, how much of the theme's agenda was Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu able to accomplish?
Well, thank you so much. First, since you started with the election, it's for me to thank God that it went the way it went, and then to thank Lagosians for being so faithful to the administration of Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, for voting ability, capacity, and capability above primordial sentiments, above ethnic sentiments, religious sentiments, and whatever. And now, talking about how much of a team's agenda that we were able to accomplish, a lot. If I start from the very first pillar of a team's agenda, which is traffic management and transportation, it can take a whole day for me to say all of the things that the administration of Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu and Dr. Kadri Obafemi Hamzat accomplished in that area. By the time Mr. Sanwo-Olu was coming in, we had about 7 ferries on the waterways, and today we have about 21, including a batch that is big enough to take hundreds of people on a cruise, on a party ride, or whatever function that they want to have. Today, thousands of Lagosians are using the waterways, avoiding the traffic jams that we have occasionally, and then enjoying faster trips. Commuting is far, far better. In the area of road transportation, we have more buses on the roads now. The last mile and first mile buses, about 500 of them, they were pushed into the system to take care of the places where Okada or commercial motorcycles were banned from operations. And then about 700 high-capacity buses also injected into the system. And along with such injection of equipment, we had about 700 Lagosians having gainful employment working in that sector. And then so many bus stops that we built, about 100 of them. Then we finished building over 80. Then you look at rail, because the aim is to have an intermodal transportation system for you to be able to have choices. If you want to go by rail, if you want to go by road, if you want to go by water, so that the choices are just there for you. Today, after so many years, we thank God that the Blue Line has been completed, the first phase from Marina to National Theatre, which used to take several hours. Is now the journey of about 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Then the second phase from the National Theatre to Okumaiko, the agreement has been signed and the work has begun. Any moment from now, the Blue Line will go into the operations, and the Lagosians of all backgrounds will be able to have a feel of what it is to have such a jolly ride. And then the red line that was started by Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu on August 15, 2021, when we had the groundbreaking, is now a matter of conclusion. Finishing touches have been put to it by the engineers. The red line that will be running from Oyingbo, the first phase, all the way to Agbado, about 3 hours grueling journey now, is going to, as soon as it begins commercial operations, it's going to become a journey of about 30 minutes. Jolly ride, smooth ride, and exciting ride for Lagosians. So, and then talking about traffic management, By the time Mr. Abadi was coming, we identified about 60 traffic gridlocks. We've taken care of about 40 of them, and then 13 are being worked upon, and then there are about 6 of them in the works. If you go to Allen Avenue, for example, the junction that you have there now is bigger than what we used to be. Under our roundabout project, we removed the roundabout and put the facility that you are seeing there today, expansive, big, smoother, and then the traffic jam there is gone. There are about 6 of the roundabouts that were so removed in Maryland, in Ikotun, Lekki roundabout 1, Lekki roundabout 2. So today, traffic flows in all of these places. So if you look at transportation alone, we see that a lot has been done. We can discuss transportation from now till tomorrow. So the team's agenda, a lot has been accomplished.
Okay. But people expected that the train, the rail system would have started full swing already. What exactly is delaying it? Because people were really, expecting that it would have started after that launch just before the campaign started.
Don't forget that by the time it was commissioned by Mr. President, Mr. Governor, Mr. Baide Sanwo-Olu announced at that time that it was going to take longer for it to go into passenger operation. That what will happen is that various segments of the society will be going there on a kind of test ride. And that is what we are doing now. People are learning how to get a ticket, how to use the turnstiles, how to get on and how to get off. So students have been there, journalists have been there, professionals have been there, ordinary citizens have been there. People are going there all of the time. And then just to ensure that everything is seamless, because by the time you start operations, there's no way to stop again. So what we are doing now is everything is in place and it's being test run. And the test run so far so good. All of the things, little things that have been discovered have been corrected, and everybody is excited. Anybody who has gone on the ride has come back with very sweet stories about their experience.
The health acronym in the team's agenda, what's the update on the health sector? You didn't see anything?
Yeah, the health sector, I was saying that if we begin to discuss the team's agenda, one pillar after another, that even one pillar can take the whole of this interview. H is the second sector. Since Mr. Baide Sanwo-Olu came in, he made it clear that he was going to spend more money on health and education. And in all the budgets that we have done, health and education have been carrying the lion's share, the biggest slice of the cake. In the health sector, that's an area in which this administration has excelled. If you look at the time Mr. Baide Sanwo-Olu came in, one of the major challenges we faced was COVID-19. COVID-19 did not want that it was going to come. And by the time it came, it was a shock to the world. And then experts said at that time that we were going to be picking bodies on the streets of Lagos and in other parts of Africa. But thank God, Mr. Baide Sanwo-Olu's sagacity came into play, and his ability to move fast whenever there is a danger signal, and the kind of a strong emergency system that we have put in place in all areas of our lives, we were able to tackle COVID-19. And the way Lagos State government tackled COVID-19 now got us global and local accolades, recognition all over the place, and Lagos became an example of how COVID-19 as such pandemic should be tackled. And because of that, COVID-19 gave us an opportunity to look at our health system, the infrastructure, and have an overhaul of the whole thing. So if you go into many of our hospitals today, you have new things there, new equipment, and then the personnel, they are better trained than they used to be. Apart from that, we built 4 modern and child hospitals, MCCs, in Badagry, in Alimosho, in in Epe, and in Etiosa. So if you look at the health sector, Lagos has done a lot. All our hospitals, general hospitals on Abbey Road, in Ikotun, in Ebute Metta, all of them are being renovated. And if you get there today, you see that the services are better, the equipment is better. And apart from that, we are building an iconic hospital, Mercy Street Children's Hospital, on Lagos Island there, and it's going to be the biggest pediatric hospital in Africa by the time it's completed. Apart from that, we have plans to build a research center in Yaba, so that whenever you have a problem like COVID-19, you do not need to go to the West to search for vaccines. There are experts here who can produce vaccines. All they need is just the enabling environment, which this government is going to provide for them. And then in K2, we are building, almost completed now, the biggest mental health hospital, mental health and rehabilitation hospital. Mental issues are issues that people don't pay so much attention to, like malaria and other aspects of health, whereas it is very, very important. So Lagos State government is building this hospital and a rehabilitation center, 500 beds, one of the biggest in any part of Africa, in K2 Ejiri.
Okay, the second E in that page is environment, and we still have issues of flooding in Lagos, especially when it rains. Everyone's heart still beats. So what has been done and what is the next level plan to address these issues of flooding?
First, Lagosians have to realize that Lagos is under the sea. In so many states where floods really showed its merciless attitude, ravaged places, took away homes, took away lives, but nothing like that happened in Lagos. All that you have in Lagos is that you can have a flash floods that, come out whenever you have rains. And by the time you wait for about 1 hour, 2 hours, the floods have disappeared. But there are so many parts of our country and so many parts of the world that whenever there are floods like that, all the facilities that they have to prevent the flooding of such places, they collapse. Not so in Lagos. Lagos can have flood when it's raining, but in a matter of hours, the floods, they disappear. And besides that, we monitor all these things several months before the floods. We tell people to move from their homes wherever we feel that there may be so much trouble. And, flooding is the kind of thing that you tackle and people don't see the way you are tackling it. You put in so much money. It's only the result that shows that you have done something. And in Lagos, the result is showing. You find all our roads. It trained a few days ago now. In several parts of the country now, the floods are still there. You see the flood all over the place. But in Lagos, all the roads are dry. It's because of the floods, the anti-flooding steps, measures that we have taken.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's go back to the election. After the president-elect won the election, he said something like, "It's now a season of healing." Okay, my question is, does this statement apply to Lagos? Because before, during, and after the election, we experienced a kind of ethnic problem in Lagos. What has the government been able to do, or what system has been put in place to restore the oneness and unity we enjoy in Lagos?
As soon as Mr. Wade Sanwo-Olu was pronounced the winner of that election, he said that the healing process was going to begin. He said that the election was the kind that we had never seen before in Lagos, because Lagosians are always proud to be called Lagosians. They see themselves as one. They see themselves as brothers and sisters. They see Lagos as their own Canaan land, a land flowing with milk and honey that the son of nobody can come to and become somebody whose story everybody is talking about. And now all of a sudden, people have brought ethnicism into politics. They brought religion into politics. All of the things, primordial sentiments that we never had in Lagos before. So he felt that the situation must be reversed and fast too. So he said so clearly after he had been pronounced the winner of that election, that Lagosians must begin the healing process. And when he also received the certificate of return, he said that we were going to do everything to reinforce the unity of Lagos, to reinforce that oneness, to reinforce all of the good things that people see in us as Lagosians. And it has started. Today we had a press conference about the inauguration of Mr. Bayede Sanwo-Olu and Dr. Kadi Obafemi in Amsterdam. And one of the programs is a play, Echoes of the Drums, written by a journalist, Ola Awakon. And it's all about unity. It's all about all of us being brothers and sisters, being children of the same parents. And we can agree, we can disagree, we can argue, we can talk. But, I mean, we must come together because we are one. That is what the play is all about. So it's part of the healing process. And everywhere he has been to after the election, he's been talking about this, that Lagosians, we are one. And that all of the things that bring us together, our resilience, our, oneness, our strength in loving one another, and everything, our tolerance, that all of those things are things that we need to reinforce now, and that we must reinforce them so that people can see Lagos as one.
Okay, so the theme for the second term campaign has been Lagos Rising. My question is, why did it change? Why did the slogan change? And what's the significance of this slogan to the second term administration?
The second term administration of Mr. Bayede Sanwo-Olu and Dr. Kadi Obafemi Amsterdam is still going to be all about Team's agenda. But now Team's agenda is going to be reinforced. So we're going to have something like Team's Plus. The government is going to be more human-centric. It's going to be more centered around people. It's going to do more of those things that touch the people directly. But the Lagos Rising that you are talking about is the slogan of the party, of the campaign. And we feel that this also should go into the inauguration, because all around us we see that Lagos is changing. First, look at the area of security. Today, almost all the states and in several parts of the world, you have insecurity. You have people crying all over the place because they have been one attack or the other, kidnapping or the other, robberies or big time robbery, brigandage. You don't have such things in Lagos. So for Lagosians, I think this is something that whether people, they must give kudos to the government for. That while they are asleep, there are people who don't close their eyes so that Lagosians can close their two eyes while sleeping. So if you look at the area of security, you see a greater Lagos rising. If you look at the area of education, we have done about 1,047 education projects. You see iconic schools like the one in Lemoro. You see the one in Agege, where the kind of school that is nowhere around West Africa. I've not seen it, where we used containers that have become nuisance in so many places, and to build a school that has its own 24 hours electricity supply, touch screen blackboards, staff room, and so many other facilities, including sporting facilities. The Lemoro School is also an iconic school. The sporting facilities at Lemoro, they are good enough for the national team. Staff room, sick bay, library, laboratory, computer center, and so many interesting, exciting things in that school. And then 18,000 teachers who have been trained to use a tablet for them to be able to do lesson notes, so that all across Lagos you see that all the teachers, they are teaching the same thing. And then teachers movement is well monitored and easy to monitor through the use of such tablets. Or 450 students who are now carrying tablets to be able to advance in their education. Or you look at the two new universities that Lagos State has added to LASU, you see that, and when it was fashionable for universities to go on strike, no university in Lagos went on strike. And I think that one is a very big plus. That is why we have a rush of students trying to come into LASU and the other universities now. So if you look at education, you see a greater Lagos rising. If you look at housing, you see all those beautiful houses. 18 housing projects in about 4 years. It is no joke. Housing thousands of people. If you look at those roads from Eleko Junction to Epe, a road that was built 42 years ago by the Jakonde administration, 2 lanes, face me and face you they call it. Today you have 6 lanes with light and everything. So people want to drive to Epe today. They are very happy. If you look at all the other things coming from collaboration between the government and the private sector, the Lekki's deep sea ports, and so many other things coming up, you see a greater Lagos rising around you. If you look at all the projects in the health sector, if you look at all the projects we have in education, as I have said, and even the development of our young ones who are being trained free of charge in script writing, in the creative world, script writing, editing, and all sort of things, filmmaking. Now everything is easier for them. About 4 companies, Dog, AMA, Ebony Life, training our young people free of charge. Or in the area of science, where we have instituted about 250 million funds for people who have innovative ideas to come and realize their ideas. Or in the movie industry, where we have instituted about 200 million funds for people who have movies to produce and don't have money, who can now go there and have money. All of the things that we have done in our great. Look at the rise in Lagos.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
You know, today is in operation, you know, after so many years. And the promise of Mr. Governor that it was going to come alive. The machines are roaring in the place now. So, and if you look at all those things, you see that a greater Lagos is indeed rising. Look at the blue line and the red line. You look at the high capacity buses, very beautiful buses, air conditioned that are on the road carrying Lagosians, or the 500 buses, last mile and first mile, small buses that are replacing Okada to stop our people from being having their heads smashed and their limbs broken by Okada riders. So you see that a greater Lagos is indeed rising. So that is why we are maintaining that slogan.
All right, so let's look at one challenge that seems to be recurring in Lagos, and that's building collapse. We had so many occurrences between 2021 and now. Now, what is government doing about curbing this menace?
Government is doing a lot. People are saying that there are problems in obtaining papers. Now government has relaxed the whole thing. We have district offices now, about 6 of them or 5 of them in the various districts of Lagos, and you can go into these offices and submit your papers. Apart from that, government is being very strict about the law. Anybody who handles any collapse building nowadays is going to face the law, and if found guilty, we go to jail. And apart from that, we are involving the private sector in checking all the papers and ensuring that the design that you are bringing is what you are putting on the ground, so that cutting corners it's now going to be more difficult. People are going to be it's not going to be compulsory, as it has always been, for the material testing aspect of a building to be reinforced. It's not that you want to use a 3 mm iron rod. You are putting that in the drawing, and then you go there and use a 1 mm. What you are saying in the drawing that you want to put, the experts will have to see from the private sector, working with our people in the public sector, that what you are putting on paper is what you are putting on the ground, and that the place where you are putting it is the kind of place that can sustain what you say you want to put in there. So we are working, and we are going to work more with the private sector to see that we stop this kind of nonsense. What has happened is not because many of our experts are not good enough to do the job, or that the public officials who are in charge are not good enough to do the job. The problem is that people are cutting corners, and people are not looking at that in the area of building collapse. People are building, they are very quick to build it, to blame it on the government, but that is not the situation. It's a kind of human problem. Greed is playing a major role, and lack of respect for professionalism.
Can you clarify a bit about the issue of buildings that are being pulled down in Ajao side of Lagos? Because there's a lot of emotions that is being whipped up among the people as if it is a selective exercise. Could you clarify so that people will have a clearer picture of what it's about?
If I really want to run away from that question, it's very easy for me to run away from it, because it is not a problem that has directly affected Lagos State government. It's between Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria and those residents. And the thing is that they are saying that these guys don't have papers. In Lagos, you can't build houses without papers. If you build houses without papers, the law may catch up with you. And someday, and when it does, it's going to be something that will be tearful. It's going to be something that will be, very painful, emotional, as we have asked in this kind of case. I sympathize with the people, but, well, it's a problem between FAM and those landlords, if they can be so called.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about you. Your office for 4 years, you have been the Commissioner for Information in Lagos State for the past 4 years. Now, how has the journey been, and what are you looking forward to doing in another years that you still have in office?
Well, I feel that for me, it's
Has it been
very
easy talking to people, getting them to key into government policies and all that? The challenges also.
For me, it's an exciting journey. It's been a very interesting journey. It's been very challenging. We shouldn't deceive ourselves, because this is the kind of job that I never did before. I've always been a journalist, doing my own thing in the newsroom. And there's this saying in journalism that editors are supposed to be heard and not seen, but now when you now put the editor in front of people and everybody sees it, then you see that it's a very different matter. But for me, I have a boss who is quite understanding, and I've worked with colleagues who are also quite understanding. The deputy governor, quite understanding. They supply you with all the information. So it's like for you to now go and tell the public what you need to tell the public. So for me, they do the job for me. The job is hard done, when you have such bosses. And these are people who are knowledgeable about government. They've been in it for a long time. So it is very easy for me to follow their footsteps, and for me to be able to sell their programs to the public. There have been challenges, so many things that have gone on, NSAS, collapse building, COVID-19, but I'm proud to say that the communication aspect of it, that we have done very, very well. People today can see that we have the best governor in the land. People can see today that we have the most secure land, place in the land, state in the land. So for me, without communication, nobody will have known all of this. All of the efforts that the Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration is putting into governance, they have been recognized even beyond Nigeria. Recently, I was in London to receive an award on behalf of Mr. Governor, and I think this is a recognition of all the modest things he's been able to do as an administrator, and I feel very proud of being part of his government.
All right, so we are rounding up now. Now let's talk about toward greater industrialization of Lagos. Does the government have any pact or partnership with organizations like LCCI or MAN?
LCCI, they've been very wonderful partners with the government, but as you may have noted, the intent for the normal thing for the government is to create an environment for the industrialization to grow, and that is what the Lagos State government is doing by building infrastructure, building roads. Built about 170 roads, built 15 bridges. We've made the environment very good. We've liberalized and simplified the process of acquiring land in Lagos for industrialization. We are tackling the electricity problem, and we are making everything, very good for people, simple for people, attractive to people, so that when they go into government offices, they find staff who are smiling, who are warm, who are, embracing them. So all of the things that we are doing is to ensure that businesses don't suffer in Lagos, that they thrive, that they do well. And the numbers are there, the figures are showing that in Lagos, people are, more and more businesses are coming up. And then they are thriving and then finding their way.
Okay, so before I leave the issue of business, let's talk a bit about issue of taxes for the business owners, especially SMEs and MSMEs. What's government doing to make that easy for them?
If you're talking about taxation,
yes.
I feel with all sense of responsibility that people will be talking about the IGR of Lagos, for example. Lagos earns 50 billion and all that. If you look at the population of Lagos, if you look at the responsibility of Lagos, if you look at the topography of Lagos, if you look at everything concerning Lagos, that is chicken feed. If you look at the salaries of Lagos workers, they are the highest paid in the land. You know that 50 billion a month is nothing. So if people are talking about taxation, there are about 25 million people in Lagos. Of these 25 million people, only 6 million are active taxpayers. And of these 6 million, only 4.2 are actually paying. All those guys you see in big cars, they don't pay taxes. People don't pay at all. So the small businesses that you are talking about, if anybody feels overtaxed, there are ways. And then if you look at land use charge, for example, we made it very clear. Went on television or radio, mounted an advocacy that anybody who feels that is overcharged, you can protest. They look at it for you and then they reduce it for you. Everything is for government to be able to serve the people in a way that the people will feel that they are being served and that they are not being starved. So the taxation that you have in Lagos is our plan is to bring in more people into the tax net. Not that the people who are in the tax net will be squeezed or crushed. No, it's not so at all. So small businesses, if they have any problem about taxation, they know how to root their problems through the Ministry of Commerce and Cooperatives.
All right, so finally, I would just like you to also talk a bit about the issue of the lag bus drivers. Are there a challenge that government is looking towards issues of training and retraining for them, so that some of these issues that we see will not occur or reoccur, like the one who ran into a train, or the other issue of the driver who raped a girl, things like that. What's government doing to ensure that these drivers, black bus drivers, are retrained and to ensure that they do due diligence to their responsibility?
First, if you look at the recruitment process of a lab bus driver, they are not just people who walk into lab bus offices and then they just got the keys and ask to go and begin to drive. They come in through consultants, they come in through very strict system. I mean, they are examined before they are given keys to go and drive. And there are people who are easily traceable. The incident of the two incidents that you mentioned, they are just not the regular thing. They happen once in a blue moon. And I feel that in any woman organization, when you have that human element also come into play, that human beings cannot behave the same way. You have very good drivers, and then you have bad drivers. Bad in the sense that they don't drive well, bad in the sense that they lack character, which is the hallmark of a good human being. So if you want to use those two incidents to measure how lab bus drivers are trained and all of that, you may be wrong, because there are so many of them who are dutiful, who are diligent, who are hardworking. And then I praise such drivers who know that whatever they do, that the image of the organization they are working for matters.
All right, so let's talk about independent power project for Lagos. Do we still have that in view? Should we expect that in this 4 years administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu?
A lot is going to happen in that sector, because without power you cannot achieve much. And if you look at what we've been doing in the past 3.5 years, we can see that we now have a policy on power, on how to work with the private sector to ensure that we have a stable power supply in Lagos. And as God will have it, the federal government has also signed some papers to give some powers to state governments to do certain things about power. The other time we brought in thousands of meters for houses without meters, so that the question of illegal bills and all such bad charges will go away. And so there is a policy already that we have brought out, that we are going to work with the House of Assembly and Lagosians to ensure that that sector we do not lag behind there.
All right. Okay, so now that the party is also at the center, and for a long time Lagos has been, agitating for status. Now under the administration of the president-elect, let me not say president yet, the president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu, are you looking at the fact that, yes, that special status will be conferred on Lagos?
It's not something
that possibility.
It's not something that can be made by presidential fiat or mere presidential pronouncement. It's a matter for the National Assembly to decide. It's a matter of law. It's a matter for the Parliament to decide. And we hope that someday the Parliament will see that Lagos carries a huge body, and a special status for Lagos is not to the benefit of Lagos alone, it's to the benefit of all Nigerians. There is no family in Nigeria that doesn't have a representative in Lagos. Lagos is the smallest state in Nigeria, yet it has the largest concentration of human beings in Nigeria. Lagos carries a load of responsibility of being the black man's hope, because of his stature, because of his resources, because of his population. And it has about 60% of our young people. So the hope of Nigeria, the future of Nigeria, the future of the black man, a lot has to do with Lagos, with what happens to it. So a special status for Lagos, which has about over 80% of international flights coming into Nigeria, which has over more than half of foreign direct investment coming into Nigeria. So a lot has to go into running this kind of state. So giving Lagos a special status is not just playing Father Christmas. It's not just saying it's a piece of cake that you go and take. It's the kind of thing that should be done, for Lagos to be able to carry out that responsibility that nature has put on its shoulders.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for granting us this interview and for also obliging us periodically to, update the people on what is happening in Lagos. Thank you so much, sir. And we wish you another successful term in office as the Commissioner of Information and Strategy in Lagos State.
Well,
More successes.
that depends on God Almighty and Mr. Governor. It's his prerogative to appoint people. Thank you.
All right.
All
And that's our interview. Thanks for watching. The program is still Summit. We'll see you again next time for another edition of the program. I am Jumoke Michael.